Hey, it's me again on my progress monitoring related to my May 2025 goals, as well as diving deep into becoming more self disciplined. It is almost the end of the month of May, and I have set out 6 goals to make progress on to actually meet by the end of the month of May. And it's countdown time to the end of May. I have a little bit over a week left. So 8 more days to actually complete my May 2025 goals. So again, if this is your first video, there are several videos on my page. If this piqued your interest, there are many more of these that dive into details on how to become more self-disciplined. And I have directly been more transparent and vulnerable by sharing my walk through studying how to become more self-disciplined in my life. And I've also set myself some May goals as a way of just setting goals to grow, as well as implementing self-discipline while making progress on those goals. And so I'm just here to kind of share that with you on this Friday. I'm going to share with you how I've progressed on my goals. And then also, since this is the end of this week, and I normally document how I've implemented self discipline throughout the week, this week is focusing on how to implement discipline in my heart as it relates to relationship, emotional, and social. So at the end of this video, I'll take some notes and share the notes that I've taken on how to actually implement self-discipline in the areas of your heart. Previous videos for the first week, I've talked about how to implement discipline in your mental as it relates to your in your mind as it relates to your mental, career, finance. And then the second week, I talked about how to implement discipline in your body as it relates to physical recreation and organization. The third week, which is this week, or actually the fourth week, just making sure I didn't skip anything. Yeah, so I kind of started on the week May the 4th, so it's only been 3 because there's a total of 4 different areas. And so implement discipline in your soul is the one for next week, and implement discipline in the areas of your heart is the one for this week. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my May 2025 goals, let you guys know how I'm progressing on them. Again, please comment, like, and subscribe. And also, if you want to be able to easily watch these type videos that are titled with self-discipline, there is a playlist created for you where every video that I've uploaded, it is in the order in which I've uploaded it. And so you can just listen to the playlist and just, listen to some of the advice or tidbits or different things that I've shared through my experience as I'm progressing on my May 2025 goals, as well as learning more about self-discipline, how to implement it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my May 2025 goals. All right, so I'm going to start by sharing with you what my actual goals are, what goals that I set out for the month of May, where there are a total of 6. So the first goal was to earn at least $2,000 from a supplementary income, which in 8 days, I will reveal what that supplementary income is, and then just begin to share more about it in some later videos. Goal number 2 is to pay off a Chase credit card. The total balance on that card was $13.84. Goal number 3 is to lose at least 10 pounds by the end of this month. My starting weight was 239 pounds. Goal number 4, start SQL course on Microsoft to advance my skills. Goal number 5, read, study, and meditate on self-discipline. And then goal number 6, implement discipline in all areas of my life. So let me go ahead and jump into how I've made progress on my goal number 1 of earning $2,000. So what I've done is I've tracked each day which days I've actually earned money, which days I haven't earned money, and then at the end of the week I give a total, and then I subtract that total from the $2,000 that I am aiming towards earning. So for the first week, those 3 days, I earned $370.61, which gave me a remaining of $1,629 to earn. The second week, I earned $369.08, which gave me a remaining amount of $1,260 to earn. Third week, I earned a total of $373, which gives me a remaining balance of $886 to earn these last 2 weeks. And just to kind of recap again, I've had some days where I've been out on the weekend. So I went away. I went out of town on Mother's Day weekend. I went out of town the following weekend, the last weekend, due to a wedding invite. And so I haven't had a Saturday where I've been able to fully dedicate like I normally would on a Saturday to earning money. So, some of these days are not really reflective of what I would really be able to earn. However, that's just like how life goes. Things go on in a month. And sometimes I have to travel, or maybe there might be some other reason that contributes to it. But however, I still have a goal that I'm progressing on. So I'm still making progress on that. So as you can see, also on Sundays, I haven't been able to earn any money so far this month on any Sunday. And then only one Monday out of this month I've been able to earn. So Tuesday of this week, I was able to earn some money. Wednesday this week, I earned some money. Thursday, I did not. And then today, I actually picked back up by earning $63, which still is on the low end of a Friday. However, it's better than what I earned this week so far on Tuesday and Wednesday. Let me go back to this. So if I were to do a little calculations like I've done so far with this goal, I kind of like to see based off of what I did the current day to see how much I'm actually remaining. So I'm going to subtract what I've done this week from what my remaining balance to earn is. And that gives me, oh, I know I typed that in wrong. That gives me a total of $752.18 that I need to earn over the course of these next 8 days. And if I were to divide that by 8, that gives me about $94 that I should earn each day on average. Even though each day is not an average to where I would earn the average amount the same, because there are some peak days. For example, Friday, Saturday, Sundays are normally peak days, and then holidays, which there's a holiday coming up, Memorial Day on Monday. So generally, more than likely, on those days, I would be able to earn more. And so even though as I'm going along, it appears as if I'm not making as much as I should because of those peak days, I'm still optimistic that I will be able to reach or exceed this goal. And here's a chart that I've put together on Excel that kind of shares how much I've actually been able to earn with this venture so far this year. This is not the first year by any means from me earning income from this endeavor. However, I just want to track since this year how much I've actually earned to kind of give me a good idea of where I'm at and where I'm able to go. You can see that I'm already up to the 1200s, which is $600 shy of where I was in March, and is I want to make sure. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that graph's updated because I do have it in the Excel sheet and I have to press this update button in order for it to update because it's linked to it. So you can see that I'm almost shy. I'm making my way. I am making my way. I'm actually $752.18 away from reaching $2,000. Goal number 2 is to pay off Chase credit card. It was a total of $1,384. I have fully paid this off. I am down to a balance of 0. Down to a balance of 0. And then on the 25th, I'm just going to go back in and check just to make sure that no remaining balance is on this account. Goal number 3, this is the one I'm really geared towards as well this week, is trying to see where I'm at. Currently, from this Saturday, I am down to 232 pounds, which is awesome because I was projected to be at 232.2 pounds. So even with me going out of town on Mother's Day, I'm going to a wedding, I stuck to my diet and I'm sticking to my gym routine Monday through Friday, going to the gym, working out in the morning, taking my walk breaks during work time, just to kind of stay active throughout the day. And then I've also stick mostly to my low carb, low calorie, high protein diet. That means I'm eating vegetables, fruits, meat, water, no sugar, no snack food, no chips, no junk food, none of it, no bread, definitely no bread. Just trying to stay away from those carbs. And in a previous video, I shared with you guys some different dieting strategies that I've done in the past. I kind of went down and did a year analysis of what I actually did from this year to that year to lose weight, and I talked a little bit about those. So if you're interested to learn what I've actually done, I will disclose a little bit more as we go what I'm actually doing as far as helping me to lose weight on some later videos, but there is a video that talks about it. If you go to it, it's titled on the thumbnail, Diet Strategies. So I will be weighing myself again on this Sunday, and my goal is to try to see how close I can actually get to my goal or below my goal, because I feel like I might be able to reach my goal on this Sunday versus waiting all the way until the following Sunday. Goal number 4, start SQL course on Microsoft to advance skill. I met this goal, and not only did I meet this goal, I exceeded this goal by completing this course. So I didn't only start this course, I completed it. And as you can see, there's a big gap in that first module from the time that I started to the time that I completed it. And that reason is because I was having hard time finding time or actually putting forth the time on working towards this goal. And so in my videos, you'll see in the past week that I talked about this, like, wow, I'm not really making progress on this goal. Even though I've met this goal, I still want to show that I'm working towards doing more than just start the SQL course. And so what I did was I made this a part of my work routine. And once I made it a part of my work routine, and I made it a part of my work routine by blocking off time on my work schedule, since this goal directly relates to my work, I could actually use some time at work to work on it. And so what I did was I blocked off an hour of time at the beginning of my work schedule where I told myself this is the time where I will dedicate towards education. And as you can see by me doing that, in a matter of 4 days, 19, 20, 21, 22, 4 days, I was able to complete this whole course. So that's showing me how I was taking a skill from self-discipline, which says to build routines and your habits so that it can help you to better effectively reach your goal. And as you can see, this is a perfect example of that, of setting a routine, how effective it is to set a routine to help you with reaching your goals if you're struggling on them. Because I was able to exceed this goal in a matter of 4 days. When from the 4th through the 19th without a routine, that's a total of 16 days wasted. I could have been finished this goal a long time ago and moved on to something else. Goal number 5, read, study, and meditate on discipline. I have to drink me some water here. My throat is kind of... feel like I'm straining my throat, straining my voice. So each week I've read, studied, and meditated on discipline, and I would pull together a resonating statement. That first week, of course, the statement that I pulled is actually from The Power of Self-Discipline book by Daniel Walter, and it shows the importance of having self-discipline. So this statement resonated with me on that first week because I'm diving deep into understanding why it is important to have self-discipline and the effects of not having self-discipline. And this statement right here tells me that very thing. It tells me that with discipline, the average person can rise further than intelligence and talent alone will take them. So that tells me you can be talented and intelligent, but self-discipline will take you further if you have it with the talent and the intelligence that you have. And the ordinary person can become extraordinary. So if I'm ordinary in whatever area, I can become extraordinary as long as I have self-discipline. Work ethic will take you far. Self-discipline will take you further than your talent and intelligence. And on the other hand, education, an educated, talented person without a self-discipline will rarely rise above mediocrity. So that tells me that I could be a hindrance to myself if I don't get a grapple on self-discipline. And I will hinder myself from reaching my full potential. And I don't want to do that. The second week, I studied about behavior, routine, and habit. And so these two sentences resonate with me because it tells me the importance of establishing a routine, a habit, and how it can help you better achieve your goals. And so understanding how to cultivate these elements, individuals can build stronger willpower and achieve their goals more effectively. And I am trying to do that. As you can see, I have 6 goals to achieve this month, and I want to be able to achieve them effectively. Even though goal number 4, for example, I was achieving it, I wasn't achieving it effectively because I could have done way more. And as you can see, I actually did more, and when I implemented the routine. Goal number 3, last week, I dived more into my finances by tracking my spending because of those weekends that I had to get away and it costs money. I set up a budget prior to, and then I tried to stay with my budget. And then I also shared my budget with you guys and how far I was from my budget, whether I was under budget or over budget. Mother's Day weekend, I actually wound up being over budget. The wedding weekend, I was under budget. And so, through me doing that and implementing self discipline in that area of my life, I came across studying this statement that says to pay yourself first. Prioritize saving before spending so it becomes a non negotiable part of your budget. In a previous video, when I tracked my spending, and it's titled on the thumbnail, Track Your Spending, you will see me go back and look at how much I've actually spent on certain things. And I was appalled when I calculated the total amount over the course of several months this year so far to realize that my spending was out of control pretty much. I was spending more than I probably would have thought I had to spend because these are things that I documented from not even my bills. These are just spending items, going to the store, going to stores and buying stuff. And so I set out to say that I'm going to implement a different budget. I am going to re-budget myself, and I am going to put in savings as top priority on my budget, because if I have all this money to spend frivolously, surely enough, I could put back a good amount of money each month. And I would feel a little bit better going back and tracking my spending and realizing that, hey, a lot of this is going towards saving versus a lot of it is going towards just spending, because that's money that's just going out of my pocket. So I've shared with you guys on the previous videos my phase through paying myself first budget. And so you can go back and watch those if you kind of missed them. But I will continue because I'm not quite all the way done with how the budget is formatted. But I did get a good I did get to a good point of being able to show how much I'm aiming towards budgeting for each month. First week, I was to show how I implemented discipline in the areas of my mind, mentally, self-care, taking walk breaks, going to the gym, limiting my social media interactions, notifications on my phone, career-wise, managing my time more through using a work log and a priority list. Finances, I am budgeting more. And I'm actually reviewing and analyzing my budget, like going back and tracking my spending after budget to see how far off I am and what I'm spending my stuff on. The second week, I implemented discipline in my body again by going to the gym, by sticking to my low carb, low calorie, and high protein diet, and implementing my walk breaks and going to the gym each morning. Recreation, I could consider myself having work-life balance. The activities I've engaged in relates to my goals. I implement activity of going to the gym, making time for my secondary income, budgeting, time to budget. And then I've also taken some time off and taken, necessary breaks from work as needed. And then organization wise, I've used calendars. That's a big part of my organization as far as it relates to different appointments, events, traveling engagements, or reservations. I've reached out to my teammates at work to assist with work tasks. That has also been helpful with organizing. And I use the Excel sheet to track my work log and show my progress on tasks over time. So that keeps me organized. So this week and at the end of this video, I'm going to dive more into how to implement discipline in these areas of my heart, relationship, emotional, and social. And then next week, I'll talk about how to implement discipline in the areas of my soul, character, purpose, and spirituality. So here are my May 2025 goals. And so far, I have met 2 out of 6 goals. And I'm aiming to on Sunday to possibly be able to check mark off goal number 3 if I've actually reached my 10-pound loss, which would be my weight would have to be below. It has to be at 229 or below 229. And then those remaining goals, goal number 1, 5, and 6, I would say, especially goal number 1, I would have to do that day by day to see whether or not I would be able to reach that goal before the end of the month. I might need all of those days remaining to reach that goal. All right, so I've already reviewed how I've progressed on my May 2025 goals. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump into studying how to implement discipline in the area of my heart, relationship, emotional, social. So how do you implement discipline in your heart? Well, number 1, self-reflection. 2, self-compassion. 3, emotional regulation. And 4, mindfulness. So I'm going to go further into these to kind of talk about what does it mean when it says implement discipline by self-reflection. So self-reflection means that I would have to regularly examine my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. What values guide your decisions? What are your triggers and biases? So it's just like pressing pause, and taking a moment throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the moments of whatever, and just self-reflecting on my thoughts. What thoughts am I having in my mind? Let me think about the things that I've thought about. Let me think about how I've actually felt. If I'm actually in a certain situation right now that have me in my feelings, let me press pause and just think about my feelings and motivations. So let me examine the things that are really motivating me. What is causing me to want to do whatever action I'm currently doing? What is motivating me? So I just ask myself questions and then take the time to answer those questions to kind of navigate through my mind and self-reflecting on my actions. Self-compassion means practice kindness and understanding towards yourself, especially when making mistakes or facing challenges. Acknowledge your efforts and celebrate your success. So that to me, for example, like when it relates to meeting and achieving your goals, sometimes you may not, I might not get as far as I would want to on a particular goal, but I don't want to get down on myself so hard to where I'm not giving myself self-compassion. So be kind. Like for example, when it comes to losing weight, don't look at myself in the mirror as if in like disgust. Be kind to myself. Be proud of acknowledge where I've come from. Be self-reflecting on what I've overcome that may have lended itself to where I am weight wise. And then just be proud of myself for taking a step right now to work better on it. Whether or not when I look in the mirror, I like what I see. I'm just using that as an example because I know that tends to be an area where it could be where you wouldn't have or where I wouldn't have self-compassion for myself. But be kind, be understanding, acknowledge my efforts, and celebrate my efforts and my success would be the way that I could implement discipline in my heart. And then emotional regulation, develop the ability to identify, understand, and manage your emotions effectively. Techniques like mindfulness and meditation can be helpful. And that could be done for me through my working out, like taking that moment during working out while I'm stretching to just release all of those emotions and reset my mind. And then also um, being mindful of when my emotions are getting out of hand or when I have negative emotions, being mindful of them, being mindful of what triggered them, being mindful of how to navigate them, what to do with those emotions in order to be appropriate still. And then the last bulleted point is mindfulness. Pay attention to your present moment, experiences without judgment. This can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings and make more conscious choices. So sometimes that judgment can hinder me from really diving into my thoughts and being aware into my feelings because it's almost like through judgment, it's kind of blaming or saying you shouldn't feel this way or blase, blase, blase. So it would keep me from really engaging in what my feelings are. And so without judgment, it allows you to be freely in your feelings, no matter if it's bad, good, and really just taking the time to just think it through and figure out why am I feeling this way and how can I resolve this. So though that's how to implement in the area of my heart. More specifically within that area, how to implement discipline in relationship. Number one, set boundaries. That's very important. Two, active listening. That's true. It'd be kind of hard to maintain a relationship if I didn't actively listen to the people that I am interacting with. Number three, open communication, being open and communicative to the people that I'm interacting with. And then conflict resolution, resolving conflict. There will be times there will be many moments where we might not be on the same page, whomever it is, whether it's platonic or romantic. And in order to make the peace, have to be able to resolve those conflicts. Oops. So let me go back to this and dive deeper into what each of those bulleted points means. So setting boundaries means establish clear limits and expectations in your relationships. Communicate these boundaries assertively and respectfully. So assertive means I'm not being passive about it. I'm not kind of roundabout way of saying things. I'm just directly saying it, but I'm saying assertive so that it is well clear and known and directly, but I'm not being aggressive to the fact that I'm being disrespectful. So I'm being respectful at the same time when I'm setting boundaries. Active listening, paying attention to your partner's needs and perspectives, show empathy and validation for their feelings. I know I need help more with that empathy part because a lot of times I just need to remove myself from it and just say, even though I know in my mind that if that person did this, this is what lends them to now being in the situation that they are. Sometimes I might not show much empathy in that area because I'm like, well, if you didn't do this, then this wouldn't be happening. But in relationships, it's important to show empathy no matter. And then also that kind of goes along with being judgmental. Just showing empathy and compassion and showing that you care for what that person is experiencing. Whether or not I feel like it was avoidable or not, that's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, someone that you care about is going through something, and at that very moment, they just want support, they just want compassion, they just want a listening ear. So I know I need to work on that. Now, I can say that I actively listen, though. I do try to understand. I ask a lot of questions to understand what the person is saying. And then after that, once I get an understanding, figured out, okay, this person could have done this. So then sometimes I may not have as much empathy as the person would like for me to have. So that's something that I am very much aware of and I am working towards. I have to figure out why is it that I tend to lack empathy. I have to just dive more into that feeling of why is it once I figure out, I guess it might stem from, yeah, I just don't like the complaining. I just don't like the pity me, you know. I just don't like, it's like after you come to me so many times with something, I'm like a resolution type person. Someone who's close to me come with an issue, my first instinct is to resolve it. And so once I get a clear understanding of what this person is going through, I, in my mind, naturally am figuring out a resolution. And if I've already presented a way in which this could be resolved, and then you come back and you tell me, well, more stuff on what is happening, but you never tried to do anything to resolve it, it's just like I get kind of fatigued with the whole discussion to where it could come across where I don't have empathy for the person. But that would be an example in which I probably need to work on or just learn more. Why is it that I don't give out much empathy when it comes to those things? Open communication, regularly engage in honest and respectful communication about your needs, desires, and concerns. I like that it says regularly because sometimes just saying things once is not enough. You want to just remind each other of what your expectations are, what your needs are, just so you can do a check mark to see if you're actually meeting the person's needs, desires, and concerns. And I love how it says respectful and honest. You can be honest, but at the same time be respectful. It doesn't give you the right to just be downright nasty, rude, and with the attitude. Conflict resolution, learn healthy ways to address disagreements and conflicts. Focus on finding solutions that satisfy both parties. I can definitely come up with examples of where I've done that in my relationship and I'm speaking more to my romantic relationship with my man friend, a boyfriend, with our schedule, with him working nights and trying to embed time to make sure that when we spend time, it's quality time. It's not just, becoming more of a kickback and go to sleep type deal or just not really actively engaged with each other when we are together doing something. So I can definitely say that we resolved many conflicts of talking through that. The conflict of his schedule, the conflict of him being tired and things like that. And I can share that. How to implement discipline emotionally. So emotionally, identify triggers, emotional awareness, develop coping mechanisms, and seek support. So to get more information on this, identify triggers means to recognize situations or thoughts that tend to provoke strong emotional reaction. Understand how your emotions influence your behavior. So definitely I would want to do that when it relates to that active listening and I need to actually identify what emotions are bringing up in me and why are these emotions being brought up in me when I'm just here to actively listen to this person and give support and give feedback only if asked. Sometimes they don't really want a resolution all the time. Even though my mind goes straight to wanting to resolve it, sometimes people don't really want a resolution. They might want to figure it out themselves. They just want to be open and honest with me in that moment without judgment, and they need that emotional support. So I think in this example, I can identify my triggers as it relates to listening to some of the different topics that are shared with me and be better about, emotionally regulating myself so that I'm able to give more empathy in those examples or in those times. Emotional awareness means to practice mindfulness and self reflection to become more aware of your emotions. Recognize a physical sensation associated with different emotions. So that's pretty cool. The physical sensations associated with different emotions. So I guess that goes into like, why am I feeling this way? And is it self-soothing? Is this emotion just here to self-soothe me? Or is it really an emotion that I should be feeling in this moment? That's just what I kind of take from that. And then develop coping mechanism. Learn healthy ways to manage strong emotions such as deep breathing exercises, mindfulness practices, or engaging in activities you enjoy. So that's actually cool. Like to cool down, take a walk. If I'm getting frustrated, take a step away and they say to take a walk, take a break, step away from it, walk, take your break away from the conflict, whatever the conflict is. And then seek support. Don't be afraid to reach out to trusted friends, families, or professionals when you're struggling to manage your emotions. So that is true. Like, sometimes my family and friends might be reaching out to me for support. And so, in that last point where it talks about being an active listener and showing empathy, I have to in turn learn that I have to seek support from someone, and in turn, they seek support from me. And so, I have to be that support that I'm also seeking. Have that listening ear there that gives empathy for what you're going through. And then how to implement discipline in social interaction. Number one, through empathy and compassion. I know that is never, I have to start that one and really study and really just actively implement these things in order to show empathy and compassion. Active listening. 3, setting boundaries. 4, conflict resolution. 5, respectful communication. 6, self-awareness. And I think all of these are kind of repetitive because they kind of go hand in hand. So let me go more in detail about social interaction. So empathy and compassion. Practice understanding and considering the perspectives of others. Show kindness and support even when you disagree with someone. And that is the key right there. That is the key right there. And I might do some study and make my resonating statement this week about empathy, because that's an area where I definitely need to work more on. Because when I have found, just like I said earlier, When I'm listening to my friend or my boyfriend or my mom or whomever else relationship wise I'm interacting with, and I do, understand, I get a good understanding. I ask many questions to try to understand their perspective and what they're talking about. Once I've gotten that understanding, I get a good picture of what is going on. And my first instinct is to find a resolution to this issue based off of what they've given me. And when I see that a person isn't moving in the direction of resolution, it's like, okay, I kind of get fatigued for all of the complaining, or I'm like, okay, what are you doing about it? If you say, for example, I don't have enough money to do this, are you budgeting? If because my first reaction is to be like, I'm going to look at my budget and see how I can do better with my finances. If I'm constantly reaching the end of the month and saying I don't have enough money for stuff, well, I need to budget more. And so for me, I may not show much empathy because I'm like, well, you're not budgeting and you're just constantly spending. You call me and you say you're spending, you about to buy this outfit, you about to buy these shoes. So I can't really give much empathy in those times because my mind is like so geared towards, okay, yeah, I'm listening to your perspective, I'm understanding your perspective, but at the same time, I'm already in my mind like there's a solution to this. And if this person is not moving in the direction of that solution, it comes across to me where I just don't want to engage too much emotionally. And so I'm going to actually study myself for that. I'm going to take the time to really think about why is it that I don't give that empathy? Because I could, just like it says here, I could show kindness and support even when I don't agree, even when I know that this person isn't really going in the direction of resolving it and they're just constantly, I could still show kindness and support. Active listening, pay attention to what others are saying and try to understand their point of view. Respond thoughtfully and respectfully. I think I do that. I probe and ask a lot of questions just to get a clear understanding because I don't want to assume anything. I'd rather a person tell me directly what it is. I don't want to play the guessing game because playing the guessing game will get you wrong more so than get you right. There's just too many options. There's just too many probable things that could be. So why am I going to sit here and waste my time guessing what it is when this person themselves can tell me what it is? So I'd just rather not play the guessing game because to me it's just a waste of time. Setting boundaries. Establish clear limits and expectations in your social interactions. Learn to say no when necessary without feeling guilty. I have definitely worked on this in the past. My thing is saying no without an explanation. Some things I shouldn't even have to explain. I shouldn't even have to feel like I have to explain why I say no. No means no, and that's it. If you ask me a question, I say no. If I don't say anything other than no, then no is no. And I don't have to explain every single time I'm telling someone no. Respectful communication. Be mindful of your words and actions. Choose your words carefully and avoid making assumptions about others. So definitely don't want to make assumptions and be judgmental. I would rather a person tell me themselves than me to be in my head just assuming away. And pretty much more than likely it's going to be all the way wrong because it's hard to assume and guess at what somebody's action is because I don't have any control over anybody else's thoughts or actions. So I would rather them tell me themselves. And then lastly, self-awareness. Be aware of your own biases and assumptions. And I think that's going to help me. Be aware of my own biases and assumptions. Consider how your actions and words might impact others. I think this combined with um, the empathy is going to be the key to what I need to work on in order to be able to show more empathy, even when I disagree. So again, this is the end of the video. I have gone through my May 2025 goals and have progress on them, which have been very well. And I have 8 more days actually left in this month to make progress on the goals, to actually meet the goals. And then I also have dived into how to implement discipline in the areas of my heart, relationship, emotional, social, because that's a part of my last goal is to share how I've implemented that. So again, please like, comment, and subscribe below, and share if you're working on goals. Share what goal you're actually working on so we can actually communicate in the chat. But until next time, I will see you guys. Have a nice day.